Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, Marquita.
Hey,
Hey, it's Miss
long
Johnson,
time.
y'all. I
Yeah, I
know.
know. It feels like forever.
It does. And it wasn't that long
It
ago,
was
but
it.
it does feel like a long time. So, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We are back for another segment of 31 days of healthy relationship tips. And tonight, I have someone who I can call friend, colleague, woman of God, amazing clinician.
Oh,
She is America's number one millennial dating coach. Yeah, I made her America's. Yes, I did. I know I did that. I knew what I was doing.
those are some big stilettos to feel.
Well, you got it. You got it. And so I want to say thank you so much for being with me tonight. Not too long ago, you did something very similar for individuals who are dating and trying to figure
Yes.
out what that looks like. And she gave me an opportunity when I was not sure if I really should be out there speaking, because I really do like being in my comfort zone. So thank you for joining me and supporting me on this journey of obedience.
Absolutely. You're one of my favorite people, so I definitely had to make sure that I supported you. And I just thought this was a very timely thing, a timely topic to talk about relationships. There's always time to talk about relationships, honestly, but definitely around this time of the year. I think it's a good way for couples to take their temperature and determine like where they are in their relationship. So thank you for
Absolutely.
having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And let me tell you, future Dr. Johnson does it all.
Ah,
Um,
future.
yes, very soon, very soon.
Yes, very soon.
And so I want to kind of give you guys just an idea of how Marquita is about to break this down tonight, because we have 25 minutes for her
Right.
to lay down some tips that if it's, I'm sure it's going to be just like the other 3 nights. It's going to be heavy. It's going to be real. It's going to be raw, straight to the point. Get ready to get your pens and your paper and write this stuff down. We're going to be looking at the couple identity,
Right.
and we're going to be looking at how you strengthen that couple's identity, looking at roles, how to date, and how to make sure that relationships don't have or shouldn't be looked at as having a death sentence.
Right.
So I can't wait for you to go into all of that. So I'm ready whenever you are.
Oh, I was born ready.
Yes.
And I mean, I do enjoy working with couples. I think it's an amazing opportunity just to help couples heal. So this 31 days of healing is just what is needed. So you're doing your right in your lane, Sharon. So
Awesome.
I like to introduce the idea of couple identity. It's not
Mm-hmm.
my own,
Mm-hmm.
but it's one that I like to work with couples on because I find that this is one of the major issues that exists within the relationship, because we all know like our identity says a lot about us. When
Mm-hmm.
we introduce ourselves to someone, what do we start with? You know, usually
Mm-hmm.
we start with our name. We start with maybe what we do. We start with whose spouse we are, or who's our children. You know,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what's going well in our lives, we may start with that, or we may end with that. And so,
Right.
oftentimes in a couple, I find that they haven't established a strong, solid couple identity. So you may
Mm.
have two single people that are
Mm-hmm.
married.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem.
Right. Right.
Because
Right.
in order to, one, communicate effectively, you have to have some understanding. And so I'll use a lot of language that I use within therapy is to carve out that space to seek understanding from each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's an intentionality that goes in with
Mm.
that. And so when you think about your couple identity, there's intentionality that goes in building that. So you want to
Right.
think about, what is the foundation of your relationship? Like, what are you building your relationship on?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't have a solid foundation, I don't care how many years you've been together, how many kids you
Mm.
have, how many houses and property and bank accounts you have, you will have nothing.
So you
And
saying
so,
money doesn't solve everything?
No, absolutely not. It may complicate things a bit more, but it definitely doesn't solve, because a part of it is what are you building your relationship on? And I find for a lot of couples, they may have built it on, say, the children. And so when the children leave, where does that leave their couple identity? Because it has been tied up in their role. So it kind of goes over into that role of parenting. So they've been tied up in a role of parenting, and they focus their identity on that instead of the couple, because the couple should be the foundation of their relationship. So a part of building a strong couple identity is having a strong, solid individual identity. So you're not looking to your mate to be your all and be all and everything, because they probably won't live up to that. You're going to be disappointed and you're going to be upset with them. And then that's going to lead to some resentment, because you're like, you supposed to be filling these voids and being my everything, and you're not being Mr. Everything. You remember we went to that restaurant? That was some good food.
That was some good food.
I love a good meal.
We're sorry, y'all.
Well, we're sorry, because I just had to put that in there. So if you're in Atlanta, go check out Mr. Everything. It is good.
It was good.
I like to eat, y'all.
Oh God!
But really, seriously, you have to have that.
She's telling y'all, make sure you have some commonalities in there too. Like you like to eat, and y'all can go on a date to Mr. Everything.
Everything.
That's what she tell her. Yeah, everything.
But I find that that's true. You know, they wrapped up their all into another person, and then when that person doesn't meet their expectations, they become very disappointed, you know. And so a part of that is understanding that you all should have hobbies and interests outside of the couple. Like that person cannot be your all and everything, because then that will lead to a breakdown in resentment in the relationship when that person cannot live up to that. And that may be only once or twice or whatever, but it becomes magnified because that person is saying, you're always supposed to be there for me. And you're never supposed to be mad at me. And so when we start using qualifiers, that's also another like red flag. Because if we're saying always and never, and I know I'm dropping a lot, but you know, we got 20, some minutes, 15?
20.
So 20. So we want to get into it, because building a strong couple identity means that you have worked on your own issues. You worked on your own individual issues. And that is going to be extremely important in building that solid foundation.
Right.
2 is that you're able to communicate effectively with each other. And that's creating that space that I talked about to seek out understanding. So if I'm going open into the conversation with understanding, because I trust this person. We have time, we have transparency, and therefore I am trusting them. I'm able to, guess what, be vulnerable with them. And that vulnerability, I heard y'all talk about that the other day, and that's one of my things. It's one of the things I've had to work on myself. We don't like the B word. It's not very every time I say that, people like kind of squirm in their seat. And I do a little like, but really, you know, it's a very uncomfortable and kind of unnerving thing. But in relationships, if you're building a healthy relationship now, healthy with an H, if you're building a healthy relationship, then you are going to have to open up to this vulnerability.
It's funny you said that, because earlier today I was speaking with my niece about this. And I said, as I was looking at the flyer, I noticed the first 4 letters of healthy. It says heal.
Right.
And in order to move forward in a healthy relationship, you have to be able to heal some or many parts of you.
Right.
So that you can move forward in a healthy way. Moving forward healthy, it's not connected to what the other person does. Yes, it is. But in terms of your responsibility, you have to deal with you.
Absolutely.
And that vulnerability, that intentionality is scary for people, because it makes them connect to their feelings.
Right. It makes you do the work. Right. We don't want to we want the other person to do the work. And I find that that's so true. And what I say is, it's like holding a mirror up to one another. That part of a couple relationship and that level of vulnerability, but it equals growth. And so
Right.
it's so beautiful when you're able to do that in an honest and transparent way, in a trusting relationship, because there's only so much growing that we are going to do on our own. Like, I'm going to grow and I'm going to say, I'm done growing. Like, I'm finished. And someone else can come and look at me and say, yeah, Marquita, you did good, but look at that on your face, or look at this there. And you need to grow in this space. And we know, like, if we've done our own work, we know where we need to grow. Now, it's like, do we want to do the work, though, to get there? And that's a continuous work. Yeah. Like, it's not, you know, some people have been together 30, 40, 50 years. I mean, people will be surprised. Yeah. Where they've been on autopilot. And so they've allowed their couple identity to just kind of fizzle. Because they figure, oh, you know, we've been together for 30 years, or we've been together for 40 years. And, you know, people are looking up to them as couple goals, relationship goals, but they are fizzling out because guess what? They got the plane in the air and they hit autopilot.
Yes, they have.
Danger. We can't fly no plane on autopilot. Not for 30 years. We can't do that. No. You cannot do that. Anything that you nurture will grow. So if you're not nurturing your relationship, don't expect for it to grow. What can you sit aside, don't pay attention to, ignore, don't feed, don't talk to, and expect for it to grow? I don't know anything that you can do that to. So a part of it is, okay, our couple identity has to evolve. As we evolve, as we grow, no one should be the same person they were 5 days ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I'm not the same person I was 5 minutes ago. I'm growing, and I should be.
You should be. So, yeah, that's right.
In relationships, you should expect your significant other to grow. But the key is, we may not be growing at the same rate, at the same speed. And that's another issue that we run into.
Ooh. I hope y'all writing this down. I'm trying to make sure that, because I'm not letting Marquita skip any.
I hope y'all writing it down too, because I literally won't remember it. Right. Like, I was supposed to read my notes, and I was like, I'm just gonna be in the moment.
You need me to ask
me. Y'all ask me anything, and I'll be like, I don't remember that. That's what I'm in the moment.
Look, we're halfway through.
With Sharon.
And yep, talking about Mr. Everything. Okay.
Yes.
Jonathan says, she was piggybacking on something you were saying, and said, and to put responsibility on that person to fix your baggage. Yeah, you cannot do that. It's your baggage. So carry your own bags. This is not one of those situations, right, where you could be like, oh, help me to carry my stuff to the car. No, this is your stuff that you're responsible for.
And Dr. those wounds that we carry into relationships, you know, we can't expect for the other person to heal us when we need to do the healing internally. So that's so important.
Exactly. Okay, so here's some other things you had that you threw at me. So I'm ready. You said roles and role strain.
Right.
And then you also talked about ways to date and have fun so that the relationship shouldn't feel like a death sentence.
Yes. That's one of the things for new couples or couples that have been together for a while. It's that danger of going into autopilot, you know, just trying to coast out. Like, we're in a good spot. What thing do we get to the point we just like, I'm coasting out? When we think about our careers, when we think about anything that we've invested in, our investments, when you think about your 401k, your retirement, you are working to put money into that. You're reallocating, you're updating, you're having meetings, you're doing all of this planning. But when we get to relationships, we think, oh, we met 25 years ago and we fell in love and this is going to be it. We're just going to ride this on out into the sunset. We're going to have, you know, a happily ever after. And people are disappointed when they're like, what is this? It is work. Work, hard work too, but it's worth it. And so you don't want to give your relationship a death sentence from the beginning by having these unrealistic expectations and not putting in the work to ensure that the relationship grows.
Okay, can go into that just a little bit more. What is an example of an unrealistic expectation? Because there are some people who truly believe that their expectations are valid.
Right.
They don't see anything wrong with it.
One that I would say is that like we'll never argue. If someone came to me and they said we have never had an argument, one, I would want to know, why are you here seeing me? But two, I'm like looking around like, oh, this is about to be something. Because that tells me that the temperature of the relationship has not been checked. You all are not checking in. You're not communicating with each other. Because conflict is a way of connecting. You know, it can be difficult, but it's a way of connecting. And through some of the most difficult or hard times within a relationship, you are seeking to be connected. And so that may come through conflict, though. And so we have to dig deep and grow through conflict, because conflict breeds what? More communication. It should. You should be communicating more. What I like to tell my couples is everything is not worth going to war about. So you have to choose your battles, because when we're in war, there are always casualties. So in a relationship, in a couple, who's going to be the casualty? So if my spouse is the casualty, am I also? Yes, I'm also impacted by that. If I'm the casualty, is my spouse impacted by that? Absolutely. Wow. So in order to decrease casualties, we need to communicate. We need to understand and seek understanding from each other. Otherwise, we're warned about everything and anything. And usually it's 3 or 4 of the same arguments that couples have, wrapped up in a different situation or a different scenario. And so in order to not give your relationship a death sentence, we have to understand patterns and recognize when our own stuff is showing up and when our significant other may be triggering something from our past and reflecting something from our past, but it's not necessarily them. And that, again, takes a lot of internal work on yourself to recognize, oh, that's me. Because we have some awareness of us. I call it our A team. It's your awareness and then your action. So once you're aware of something, what you going to do about it? Because we can be aware of a lot of things and not be willing to do the work. And so I challenge couples, okay, now that you're aware about it, what are you willing to do? What are you going to do? What changes are you willing to make? We're not going to talk about your spouse. I'm talking about you. What changes are you going to make? Because I know that, and we all know that when we change any part of the system, the whole system has to change. It has to respond to my change. And so often we're trying to get our significant others to change, but we're not willing to change. And so we're trying to pull something externally internal instead of taking the internal and allowing it to radiate externally.
Y'all got this? Because she's telling you that a lot of the work may be internal.
That's it. Intrapersonal relationship. That's what I love to deal with that, because you have to own a lot of times we're wanting people to change, and you'll be amazed at what happens when you say, okay, I'm not going to focus on what they need to do. I'm going to focus on what I need to do and what I can do. And then I'm going to operate in that space and watch things change. Now, it may not be a macro change. It may be a micro change. But hey, you're moving in the right direction.
Change. That's right.
You're moving moving a lot faster than you were before.
Celebrate the small wins. Learn to find good in those little things that are making progress.
Absolutely.
It's funny as you talked about that, because I think about when people come in and you say, okay, are you equally able to do the same thing that you're expecting? And they'll go, it's not me, it's them.
Right.
And they go, and then they change, and now you haven't.
Right.
Good work. Right. It's like, you have to be willing to change.
You have to, because the casualties are going to occur within the couple. So if someone's hurting, your spouse is hurting in the relationship, that's going to impact the couple.
That's right.
So the couple is a team, and you can't go warring against your teammate.
They're not the enemy, guys.
No. You got to deal with the inner me.
When you said it, I thought about Dr. Oliver with the interview. The
Yeah, Dr.
interview
Oliver.
game. Yeah. If
Yes,
y'all don't have
go
that
grab
game,
that.
get it.
Get it.
Interviewgame.com.
Yes,
www.interview. Not
interview,
interview
inner, because
view
that's the real
game.
deal.
And
Yep.
that just helps you communicate with one another.
Absolutely.
So, okay. So the last thing I need to hear from you, future doctor, is what are some ways to date and have fun in that relationship other than going to Mr. Everything?
I know. That's a good thing. I encourage couples to find ways to connect with each other, new ways of doing different hobbies or tasks together, like going to Groupon and trying out different activities together that one may be interested in or maybe the other is unsure about. But really sitting down and talking about your interests in doing those connection sessions to find new ways to date. Because again, you don't want to go stale. You don't want the relationship to go stagnant because anything that's stagnant is dying. And so you want to continue to check in with one another and find new ways to connect. And that may mean that you have to do like a brunch date. That may mean that you have to sit at home and do a movie night, but finding creative ways to connect with each other is very vital to the relationship. When someone tells me that they are not dating, they haven't been on a date, that's a concern because I know that you're not connecting and likely you're not intimate,
right?
Because you haven't nurtured the relationship by going out on a date and spending time, hearing about what's going on in each other's life. And that's intentional time. Again, where we spend our time and our money shows a lot. If you look at my bank statement and you see where I'm spending my money, you'll see what's important to me.
That's right.
I got to pay these bills, so I got to make sure I keep a roof over me and my son's head.
That's
and you'll
right.
see, the different things that are important to me because we invest in what's important to us. So if you're not dating, then you're not investing in your relationship. I would question, is it important to you? And it doesn't always mean money because you can invest your time. You can be creative. I know here in Atlanta, I'm always looking at free stuff, where you could go. And there are a lot of times of just spending that intentional time with one another, hearing each other's feelings, hearing each other's thoughts. That can be very critical and crucial to the couple identity, being shaped and formed. Because that way you keep that temperature on the relationship. You don't let it get too cold. I guess getting too hot would be okay, but not too cold. Not too cold. But
He's
too
being
hot
very
might be all right.
fresh.
I
Very
know.
fresh.
Too hot might be all right. I was thinking like, yeah, hot might be all right. But cold is not okay. So we want to make sure we're checking the temperature, and checking in and having fun. Like it's really like disheartening to see people all sad and mad and like, I'm like,
what's happening?
A relationship like that. You're right.
But there's some people who are stuck in toxic situations where that's comfortable to them.
Right. Yeah. And it's like miserable and like everybody can see it. Everybody can feel it, and so a part of it too is having fun with dating and having fun in your relationship, like laughing and joking and playing, pillow fights and stuff. Do some fun stuff. Like I think as adults, we, sometimes we're all serious. But, when you think about kiddos, they're all in the moment and they're playing and they're enjoying and they're being present. And so for couples, we can take a note out of their page and be present and play games, like play board games and get that interview game. Do some couple nights and date nights and double dates and things like that. Like, don't let your relationship go stale. There are so many resources and so many avenues of professionals that you can reach out to when you're feeling that sense that this relationship is, going on autopilot, or we keep arguing about the same things, or I don't feel connected to my significant other. Do something about it. Don't just keep talking about it and allowing it to be in that space for 5, 10, 15, 20
Right.
years. And then you finally are like, I'm going to therapy. And now you're dealing with 20 years of baggage because you've allowed that space that we put in between ourselves in a relationship. We fill it with stuff. And before long, we can't communicate because we got to deal with the stuff that's in between us.
Y'all okay out there?
I hope they're quiet. So
I mean, y'all real quiet. Dr. Rael said relationship investment. We have 26 comments. Let's see who's talking to us.
Y'all said Marquita been running her mouth. Y'all know I've been away for a while, so I got a lot to say.
Yes, she does.
On this degree. I've been working on this degree. It's got me.
That's important. No. You do what you're supposed to do.
I'm like you, Sharon. I'm just doing my part.
That's right. And you keep doing it. Dr. Rael says novelty. I'm trying to get all of the comments, but it will not show me. I don't know why it's not being my friend, but that's okay. I'm going to get them.
That's all right.
All right. So we have about 2 minutes. And so what I want to do is because I seem like, I guess I skipped a step because I was so excited about what you were going to be talking about. I never said, Marquita, tell them who you are, where you're from, what do you do? So tell the people about you. And then when you get to the end, tell us what's coming up. But before you do that, any last minute tips that you need them to know as we close out this segment?
This is one that I'm using now. It's a gratitude jar. So I encourage couples to create gratitude jars for one another. This is another way to intentionally connect. Write something in there daily or weekly that you appreciate about your significant other. Exchange them and let them read what you wrote and you read what they wrote. And that can be a great way to just intentionally connect and nurture the relationship, but also show appreciation for the things that you are grateful for that your spouse has contributed in your life. Sometimes we focus on, oh, they don't do this or they don't do that. And we forget to mention the things that they are doing and how they are contributing. So that can be a great way to show your gratitude for the things that your spouse does or the happiness, joy they bring to your life.
I like that. I've actually heard that recently from a couple of people. They've been using that, and they've been using it for families and for couples. So I like that idea. If someone would be so kind, please type that in the comments as I'm looking up other stuff. Miss Ann Dillard said, getting schooled. John just said, this is some good stuff. And so Dr. Rael said, relationship investments, novelty. And I made sure that I wrote, take a note out of the kids' playbook. Have some fun.
Have some fun. Like, just because we're adults, I love to have fun. Anytime I can get, and it really connects to our inner workings when we're able to play and have fun. Yeah, I think that's great. Well, Sharon, it has been real. I've enjoyed this 30-minute speed. 31.
Thank you.
Because I was like, I got to get it.
No, this is good. I hope you all took something away from this, but I do need you to know how you can find Marquita and what she's doing, where she's located, and like what's coming up next for you. So tell the viewers, because we're going to have people replaying this as well. So tell the viewers who you are, what it is you do on a day-to-day basis, what's coming up new for you, and how they can find you on social media.
Absolutely. So I'm Marquita Johnson. I'm here in ATL. I'm a therapist, speaker, mommy, entrepreneur, all that good stuff, doctoral student. The list goes on and on. Literally, I enjoy helping millennials be the one so that they can find the one. A lot of what I do is helping just break down like negative stereotypes about millennials too, because millennials are good people, helping them find the relationship of their reality. So I help you spend less time with the wrong one so you can meet the right one. I'm also a speaker, and I have an introvert to income masterclass coming up next month, where I teach introverts like myself how to book speaking engagements and get paid while you're doing it and have some fun, because I've been traveling and I'm really, really enjoying that. So California, conferences next year. I'm trying to get back out to California. I will work for Cali. So
That is her second
send
home.
me back, right? Send me back. So I'll be ready. I really enjoy the people out there are just amazing too. They just treat me like I'm at home, and so it makes it hard to leave. But I have to get back to Atlanta. So thank you again, Sharon, for allowing me to come on. Thank you so much for your heart for couples and for doing this. So I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. And tell the people how they can find you on social media, please.
Absolutely. You can follow me at Millennial Dating Coach on Facebook and Instagram. And my website is millennialc3.com.
Awesome. Yeah, I got it. And make sure if you're watching later, put hashtag replay. And also just share on your pages. Please do not do a watch party. When you do a watch party, Marquita and I will not be able to see those comments or questions that may come through. So if you just simply share, we can connect. All right. So thank you all for watching. Thank you, Marquita, so much again for joining me. I appreciate you.
You are welcome.
Bye, guys.